Yeah, they absolutely are. And obviously, this Batiste is not really going to take off until he gets that Shatter Glass complete and then working towards that Clockwork. Uh, the Reap heroic perk here on Batiste, obviously, given that additional damage on his abilities, is incredibly huge, as well as the sustain from the healing.
Ooh,
And Blackfeather,
yeah.
Blackfeather does have a lot of potential into Glaive if the fights go long, but Glaive is much burstier than this Blackfeather will be at any point in the game. So I
Yes.
think Time has the potential to come through, but it's going to be all about them playing it correctly. And again, I don't know a whole lot about these players, so it's unfortunately, it's hard for me to tell right now.
We'll go over to Baptiste, which is a very good sign for Time, especially going into the Kashka, getting the level 6 on Baptiste. Impale comes out, Dained. Lyra taken low, taken down for the first blood. Lance actually picks it up. Bit of a misplay. She was very low. I think giving that to the laner or the jungler is very important, but still very good gold trade. Just more impales. Luckily landing. Kashka jumps in afterburn. Low, one shot, manages to get away.
Yeah, on a sliver of
Very
health.
impressive.
And Lyra did overstay a little bit there.
Yep.
Obviously, Lyra having one of the lowest defense stats of all heroes in the game. As a captain, she still does have to be very, very careful here in the early game. So Lyra, she plays it back a little bit, focuses around, obviously, that extended healing time that we were talking a little bit about earlier. Then she definitely can have a big game-changing effect on this play style. But again, just got to be careful in the early game because Lyra is so easy to kill early.
Yep. And we are going to see them just come back into lane. Nothing going on. Blackfeather has shopped at this point. Going to be very useful.
Yeah, getting that heavy steel is going to really ramp up some of the damage, especially since his that Faint of Heart does scale off of weapon power and missing health. It definitely can be devastating if Kashka gets low in a fight, or even the Lyra. Again, we talked about how squishy Lyra can be.
Yes, with the low defense, you get a couple heartthrob stacks. It can be deadly. Damage from the on points. Blackfeather just building up heartthrob stacks. Impale comes out, misses it. They are just going to back off. Baptiste has rotated up to lane. Playing it front. Kashka comes in. Ordained comes out, stuns the Kashka. Lance barely missing the Githian wall, though. Bad Mojo comes out, take Lyra's low, and the on point finishes. Impale lands on both of them. Bad Mojo takes them low. Kashka both they're popped, though, and they back off. Very low health. Very good engage by Time Impale. Coordinating almost all the abilities to first burst down the Kashka, then the Lyra, and they go back and almost get more kills.
Yeah, they did make a good rotation down through as well because Baptiste is taking a half jungle rotation away from Kashka and is now level 6, so that Fearsome Shade is available, and that is a huge crowd control ability that is now available for Time. And when paired with a Githian Wall and a Impale, there's a lot of lockdown potential that this lineup can have. Again, it's going to be about Baptiste managing those soul shards, the soul fragments, and making sure that he is getting as much splash damage down on a Glaive and Kashka as possible.
Yep. It is very important to land all of those things. Lance is going to be alone in lane, as it looks like Blackfeather rotates down to shop and Baptiste takes his jungle. Neither team playing aggressive. I would like to see A side be a lot more aggressive. Impale comes out, lands both on Lyra and Glaive. Twirly Cat Frenzy comes out, afterburn, punts Baptiste back, punts Blackfeather, he baps off. Fearsome Shade comes out, takes him low, Ordained, stunning the Lyra, very low, killed by the Blackfeather. Kashka staying in the fight, on point lands, Impale misses, Faint of Heart, not quite enough. Though the bad Mojos are taking Glaive low.
But Time should be able to get some damage on this turret here. Oh, and the Faint of Heart.
Wow.
Like we said, when you get low on health, you have to be careful of that Faint of Heart coming in. It does scale off the missing health, and man, Kashka is not the place you want to be.
Mojo. Damage, Blackfeather staying in turret for a while. Lyra now alone in lane, though. Gonna try to hold the turret, 1v3. Doesn't look like it. Bad Mojo. Impale lands on Lyra. Back off. Nothing more they can really push. Connect. Very good play so far at a time. A lot of coordination with the impales and the abilities. What do you think is Ace win condition now?
Poison Shiv is available on Blackfeather, so like we said, that will have a credible effect onto the sustain of the enemy team, as well as provide himself some.
taken low, manages to back off safely.
Yeah, he's able to make it out with that Rose offensive, using it a little bit defensively there. And now as Broken Heroes coming up and Nick, we could look to find another fight here for time if they get some of that lockdown together.
Afterburn used defensively to get out. Ordained comes out on Lyra. Impale misses. Beautiful punt. Fearsome Shade fears her way. Bad Mojo takes extremely low. She does get out though. They're going to back off. Kashka caught rotating from behind. On point lands. Huge Bad Mojo. Afterburn comes out. Yummy Cat Frenzy comes out. All the stuns. To take her down, they can't take the kill. They trade. They don't trade. Extremely low. Not enough damage. They get caught out with the stun.
Yeah, and one key thing that happened there was actually Batiste used his reflex block to block the afterburn coming out of Glaive, and that allowed Shadows to come in with the Yummy Catnip Frenzy and get that lockdown. They were able to clean up Batiste, and from there, like I said, the Kashka and the Glaive will just pretty much out damage a Blackfeather through all points of this game, as long as a good execute doesn't come through. So really well played off the back foot there from the A side.
Yeah,
capitalizing on just a slight misplay out of time.
Yeah, being overextending, maybe a little too much, underestimating the heals and the burst coming out of A side. What is A side's win condition at this point? Because even though they did win that and swing the gold lead a little, they did not get any objectives off that, which is a huge part of the early game gold leads. B side having taken already the turret. What do they need to do to come back into this game?
I mean, as far as A side, obviously being a little bit behind on gold here is a little bit of a downside. So they just need to get together, get the rotations down, get some good farming up. But now we have time coming in very aggressively.
Take extremely low. Bad Mojo picks up the kill, and A side's not going to be able to do anything. Eminent just has to back off. Time extremely well with the coordination and the chaining the crowd control, locking them down, and they are going to look to take the gold mine. So once again, we see the strengths of much it can just lock down the mobile heroes, keep them from being able to move. Kashka is going to push down. Looks like they are going to look for the steel Githian wall stuns. Kashka does not get it. Baptiste using the Bad Mojo ordains the Lyra, taken very low. She gets cleaned up. Off, it seems. Glaive afterburns over the wall and gets the Treant. Lands on all members. Blackfeather has to back off using a Rose offensive, taken very low. Glaive picked up by the Bad Mojo. Kashka jumps in, executed by the Faint of Heart, and once again, Eminent has fallen to time in the team fight. That
was really good played out of time there.
Yeah, incredible.
Yeah, coming in underneath that Crystal Sentry was absolutely huge for them there. They came in, they juggled the aggro really well. We saw obviously the Rose offensive used to get out of that range, and they were able to clean up an ace from there. And now Lyra
taken extremely low, picked up by the Faint of Heart. Yep.
And this Ace Wave's doing some pretty good work here on the turret, and Shadows needs to be super careful. Again, the lockdown versus Kashka can be incredibly deadly with the Ordained, the Githian Wall, the Impale coming through, and then the whole time Blackfeather can obviously focus her down. So definitely have to be careful without your Lyra here.
Yes, but Kashka is going to reclaim some of her farm using the Twirly Death. Wave's going to rotate to lane. Back to the respective positions and just farm up a little more, but we do see a 4,000 gold lead, which is extremely important, I think. On point lands, Faint of Heart. Blackfeather taking Glaive, has to back off. Lands another on point, though. Heartthrob stacks are sticking up. Lands yet another. Glaive has got to be really careful now. Almost fully stacked up. Got to back off. And they're going to use the Imperial Sigil. I think A side really needs to initiate fights, but B side initiating more. Fearsome Shade comes out. It is blocked. Blackfeather taken extremely low. Yummy Catnip Frenzy misses on Baptiste. Kashka going down very low. Baptiste is sort of caught out though. Uses the Bad Mojo. Kashka. Blackfeather extremely low, running from Glaive. Afterburn in 5, he backs off. I would have liked to see the Glaive continue that fight. He could have secured it, but he is just going to focus Lance. On point, Bad Mojo taken extremely low, afterburns out. Oh man, the damage on B side is incredible. Time taking out Lyra. Blackfeather, a sliver of health, misses the on point. Bad Mojo cleans up Glaive. And Impale will go down to take the gold mine yet again, it looks like, or just jungle farm.
Yeah, not quite in time for an ace, so that's not going to be forcing Kashka to defend the turret. So she will be able to rotate down. And you know what we really saw in that fight was, again, we talked about it earlier, is Glaive should be able to outtrade Blackfeather just because of the brunt damage he does. So even though Blackfeather is a little bit ahead, it is difficult for him to fight 1v1 against Glaive. But man, Nick on this Baptiste showing he has no fear, takes down Shadows off of it was actually a good engagement from the side of Eminent GG, but they split up, and unfortunately Kashka at this point in the game
Impale
can't 1v1 Baptiste. Good afterburn though.
Oh yeah, Blackfeather taken down by the twirly death. The yummy catnip frenzy lands on Lance, though I don't know if they're going to be able to secure this, but I agree with what you're saying. The Baptiste really holding his own even after being down early in the trade. The Impale, Bad Mojo lands, fearsome shade, crowd control, Bad Mojo taking Glaive extremely low. Baptiste has to back off, uses the Ordained. It gets blocked. Baptiste taken very low versus the Kashka, lands the Kashka barely getting out, but Baptiste is going to secure the Glaive. Kashka on extremely low health has to back off.
Yeah, and with Baptiste and Lance coming, I don't know if she's going to be able to get out.
Oh, Impale, and that is ace.
And they do have an opportunity now. They could take Gold Mine while Blackfeather does push the lane in, as obviously Angel Wolf is going to be forced to defend the turret from this double ace wave.
Yeah.
I'm not sure this is the best rotation out of time. Maybe just trying to guarantee the turret. I don't think Lyra would have had enough damage to take the double mini wave, but really just trying to, I guess, take it quicker.
They are going to go for the sentry, which is a good call, but they do have to be careful now. Potentially an afterburn over the wall. Does not look like that. Huge Bad Mojo damage, taking Glaive down 700. So, I think after that team fight, what do you think of Glaive's build? We've looked at it. We were talking about before how Spell Sword was added and how it's been very interesting. What do you think about him using that in a Tyrant's Monocle and a Poison Shift? How does that synergize, though? On point going down on the Kashka. Rose offensive. Yet another on point. Baptiste stuck in a 1v1, uses the Fearsome Shade. And they are just going to clean up Eminent.
Yeah, they should be able to pick up this kill here pretty easily. The Arcane Passage is down. That is another ace. Looking over at the Glaive build, like you asked, I do think there's a time and a place where Glaive can go for offensive items. I don't think it's when you're playing this far down. So that is pretty concerning because he's just getting blown up in these fights. If Glaive was really ahead, I could see really trying to push that offensive advantage.
Especially the Blackfeather.
Right, and that's just not the case that we have now. Glaive is doing really well in these fights, but the team just isn't coordinated on their target focusing quite enough for it to be as effective as possible. So unfortunately, it doesn't seem to be working out this time around. I would have liked to see an Atlas Pauldron come out of him a little bit earlier. Obviously, going for offensive items, it's likely not going to come out at all. And that's going to make it much easier for Blackfeather to get in and get the damage that he needs to get done pretty freely.
Yep. Kashka is caught out in lane. Ordained lands, Fearsome Shade lands, on point, Impale. Everything goes down. Blown up. Not even a chance. They are going to rotate down. Lyra portaling right in front of them. Are they going to catch her? And Blackfeather manages to land the auto Ordained Githian while she's gone. That is going to be the Kraken. Unless Glaive can do something incredible, but
he has sold his items going into the fourth offensive item, so he is getting some more defense now. But this is a super risky call with only 2 turrets left, and now that is likely going to be a dead Glaive.
Using all his abilities, cannot stay alive. Yeah, you got to be careful when you don't have that choke turret. The respawn times can really come back to bite you if you throw yourself in like that.
Well, especially since Kraken's not really going to take any damage when entering the base. It is going to be a pretty much full health Kraken just wailing down on the crystal turrets. And that is not a situation you want to be in. Yep. And now Glaive is building back into a 4th item again. So a little interesting there. Yeah.
Baptiste is dealing so much. The Ordained comes out. Bad Mojo taking Kashka down half. Lands another, takes her down to 1/4 health. And they're just going to focus turret.
Yeah, and Glaive is now up, but he's taking a lot of damage in return.
On point lands on Lyra and Glaive. They are backing up. Fountain has been popped for Eminent. Bad Mojo. They are just focusing the turret. Baptiste taken low, but Blackfeather cleans up Glaive. not able to finish off the Baptiste. And I think moral of the story as BF cleans up more kills is Eminent struggling to focus down one hero, sort of playing a mixture of a sustain with the Lyra and trying to win 1v1 is not really working out for them. But overall a good game.
Yeah, it was really well played out of time. They engaged together through most of the fights pretty efficiently. There were a couple fights that did come out a little bit sloppy, and they did end up losing those ones. But overall, Nick and Broken Hero had a really, really good time that game, really just balancing their crowd control. We obviously seen the Ordained come through off the back of an Ordained stun. There was usually a Githian wall and then an Impale to follow it up, really locking somebody down. Yeah. So overall, Time played that game super, super well. I do think Eminent has the potential to come back for a game number 2. We'll just have to see as we get in there. I did like their draft. It just didn't come out as far as the play style as cleanly as they needed it to be.
Yeah, I agree. I think Time did an incredible job of coordinating even when Blackfeather was low, backing off and using his teammates to get the vision and then still help out with the team fights. Extremely well played by them. A few mistakes that could be cleaned up, but very well. And it's going to be interesting going into the second game, how the teams change up their play style after seeing each other.
So we should almost be getting ready to get into draft number 2 here in just a moment.
Yep, we're going to load in. This is the second game actually being played. There was one played earlier in the North American Champions League, brought to you by Band and Vainsocial. The teams have been switched. We're getting into draft. TIME Impale versus Eminent. We come out of this game, out of Eminent especially, after taking the loss. Any special bans or any special counter picks, you think?
I definitely think if you're going to go with a double melee carry route, you have to either be prepared for the Baptiste or, really try to pick your second melee carry after the enemy team is all locked in. So that's really kind of the downfall of the single ban here is if you have like a specific strategy that you want to run, you either have to, last pick it, or you have to ban it away at the very beginning. But like we talked about earlier, the Grace and the Catherine obviously being so incredibly potent picks right now, it is kind of difficult to try to do a spite or a targeted ban against someone individually. And that is going to be the Grace. Yeah, it's going to be the Grace and the Catherine coming off. Again, the obvious changes to Echo over the past couple patches have made these heroes really shine. The double silence is super hard to block. And then obviously the additional sustain of a double divine intervention is absolutely crazy. They go with the Blackfeather again, though.
Yeah, that's a very interesting pick. He is strong in the aspect that you can flex him, but I don't really know what to think about that as a first pick, and we're gonna have to see what Eminent does to counter draft it.
Well, they're going with the Baptiste, so they're not giving away that Baptiste and Blackfeather combo again. So this does provide a little bit more offensive capability to Eminent here. Obviously, if Blackfeather is going in, he's going to be on the front line. Baptiste is going to be able to chunk him out with those bad mojos. And it's going to be an Idris picked up from the side of Eminent. So this is a pretty strong combination. However, there is a pretty clear opportunity for Time. They could pick up a Scarf here. Anybody that outranges Baptiste in the poke game is super, super potent. So that is definitely something to consider here, as well as with the Catherine band, the Lance, as I was about to say here, is really good into Idris because Idris wants to dive that back line, get to that squishy target, and Lance can make it pretty difficult to deal with. So there's going to be a Saw pick, though, so that's a little interesting. But here we go.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how they flex. A side Time can flex both the Blackfeather and Saw different routes if they want, and that's something I wanted to ask about Eminent. What are the odds they take a Baptiste Rome and do that when they pick up the Celeste?
Apparently the odds are pretty high because I don't see this being a carry Baptiste. This definitely should be a captain at this point. I do think Celeste Idris is very strong into a Saw, whether it's weapon or crystal. Specifically because when he goes to drop that suppressing fire, he's very vulnerable to the heliogenesis, the core collapse, as well as the chakrams. So this is going to be interesting. There's a pretty strong draft here on both sides if they can execute on it
That's very
correctly.
true. Yep. Interesting how they coordinate and play a little bit different this game, obviously, but very, very interesting. Think about the potential. All right, well, we're gonna see what they pick, but if it is in fact a weapon power Blackfeather, what do you think about that into the Celeste? Because that, as we saw in Unified Live, has been one of the strongest counter picks to Celeste, diving the backlines.
Blackfeather. The nice thing about Blackfeather is even if Celeste does use the core collapse, you can obviously use that Rose offensive to get through it. But as we get into this game here, we do see that double back rotation here out of time, getting Blackfeather and Saw the gold they need. Saw has started with the double weapon blade. I do think he's going to go into Crystal. I just think this is for his jungle clear speed. But, overall, what do you think about Nick on the Saw? He had a good performance last game on Baptiste. But Saw, obviously, especially in the jungle, is a little bit different.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting because we have seen some very skilled players in the past use it as a pocket pick. So it is definitely playable at a high level. The question is, how much has he practiced it? Is he just trolling, or if he is seriously doing it? And if he is seriously the pocket pick, it can be very interesting because this is not something teams really practice against. We are going to see.
Yeah, you definitely don't see Saw too often. That's definitely not the case in North America, at least. I do think the shanks on a crystal Saw can be really deadly when paired to the Blackfeather, since they'll both have that missing health percentage.
That's very true. To execute, you're gonna have to be doubly as careful. But it does look like Idris is gonna go for an early shop, having pushed lane up. That is one of the advantages to going to lane early. It seems is you can shop and get your items, but.
Yeah, but we have a good rotation here out of Ninja on the Celeste, cleaning up the backs. Will he be able to do anything against Nick here, though? Broken Hero's rotating down as well.
Behind the Sentry Crystal.
Not looking like they're going to find him. Yep, so Ninja making a good rotation there, being a little bit of a ninja in the enemy's jungle. Now is going to return to the jungle with 4 crystal bits, and Saw has picked up his first crystal bit as well. So definitely going to be interesting to see what Nick's end up going here for his first item. Could be a Shatterglass. Could even be the Aftershock Saw that we used to see way back in the day.
That is true. That would be quite the spectacle. Idris taking a lot of damage in lane to Blackfeather. Taken low, has to be careful to execute. Almost kills him. Blackfeather picks up the first blood with the auto attack. Idris just not really paying attention. Didn't realize those heartthrob stacks are getting up, and the execute, like you were talking about with the missing health. When you're at the full heartthrob stacks, you can't underestimate it. And the healing just popped a little late, so definitely gonna have to be careful of that. Blackfeather is gonna push the wave in, and we see Eminent actually going aggressive in the jungle with the Celeste and the Baptiste. Saw picking up one of his bottoms. Blackfeather has rotated though. They're gonna have to be careful.
Is coming. Celeste is taking a lot of damage. Core collapse misses.
Goes down to the Saw. Baptiste now running away as fast as possible. Githian Wall pushes him, but Blackfeather chasing him down, using his Vein of Heart to stay with him.
Yeah, overall, really well played out of time there. 3 kills now picked up for them.
Yeah,
this Blackfeather has really been a game changer in both the first game and the second game. So I definitely think this is something that teams looking forward have to consider from AudioVox here. Is if we put him on Blackfeather, we have to pick something that is going to counter him. And I'm just not sure the Idris Celeste combo is going to be quite what it takes.
Yeah. Definitely going to have to start respecting his damage as he picks up some more items shortly, hopefully. Because so far, that's not what we've seen. A little bit of poke going down in lane.
Yeah, the Ordained does come out. AudioVox is locked up for a second, but no follow-up out of Shadows, so that is not going to be much damage coming down onto Vox. And now Ninja is in a little bit of a difficult spot. He's separated from the team, but fortunately Lance does not collapse down on him because, Saw was just a little too far away to come over and do anything about it.
Yeah, and, what do you think so far about the Lance having stayed in jungle for most of the rotation so far, really helping the Saw guarantee he does not get invaded by the Celeste, and making sure he does actually get most of his farm. Set a strategy, and as he rotates up to lane, actually, he's gonna push it. Impale comes out, lands on the Idris. Ordained use on the Lance. Suppressing fire, melting Idris down, taken very low. He's gonna go in for the dank shake, lands it on Baptiste, takes him extremely low. And Eminent has to be very careful. Impale is gonna miss, though. Core collapse, landing on Lance. Both teams fairly low on various people. This is hurting the Saw. Suppressing fire is gonna miss. The Chakram does miss, though. On point lands. Lots of poke coming out from both teams right here.
Yeah,
Either
Eminent really has to use Saw's slow mobility to their advantage, and they just haven't done so yet so far. Dankshake comes out. Huge damage onto Celeste. Celeste is going to make it out, and now Shadow's looking pretty low.
Pressing fire is going to clean him up, and now Blackfeather and Celeste have to back off. Incredible knowledge, I guess, of the damage that he possesses. The Impale landing on Celeste right at the end of the hitbox. Lance is going to take in low, though, and has to back off. Bursting the turret down. That's already going to be the first turret at 5 minutes. And so far, we're sort of seeing the same incredible play we saw at a time last game with the coordination of the diving, the Feint of Heart, plus the Dank Shank, the same execute you were talking about earlier and how they're going to have to be careful about it, picking up a kill. I have to.
Yeah, so far, Time is just looking more like the coordinated team, at least in my opinion, as Audiovox is now in the lane, finding some damage onto Shadows. Will he be able to get the kill?
Chakram does not pick him up, though. Is Baptiste going to be able to? Fountain comes out. On point lands. Baptiste low. Celestial comes out and goes shortly wide as Baptiste gets executed. Blackfeather is going to back off, though they are looking to deal some damage. Lance on the Celeste. Yeah.
A good use of Healing Flask from Audiovox there. Well timed. Was able to get the barrier that blocked out the incoming damage from Angel Wolf on this Baptiste. And then obviously the healing kicking in after a captain is just not going to be able to deal with it. But now he's going on to Celeste and gets another kill.
Stay alive, though. Baptiste and Idris are rotating. Are going to be careful.
Yeah, but now Baptiste is locked up, taking a ton of damage.
Blackfeather, though, taking him down, gets the kill. And they are going to go on gold mine. So much damage coming out and so much coordination with the Impales. Though Idris is looking to do something. Oh, Impale plus the suppressing fire. Idris taken extremely low. Is Lance going to be able to clean him up? He uses the healing flask and manages to get out. Something we saw in that first fight with Blackfeather versus Idris and lane. Blackfeather's team actually had a fountain to use to keep Blackfeather alive. Angel Wolf did not have the fountain because they were so far behind in gold. He picked it up after he died, so he was not able to keep Idris alive. And as you're talking about the other game, the gold lead is so important for that fountain. Getting it at 6 minutes versus getting it at 4 minutes can change the team fights early and really.
It absolutely can, and Time is sitting up with a 8-kill lead right now, as well as 7,000 gold here at just 8 minutes is not looking very promising. However, Celeste does have a lot of opportunity to be a comeback hero, as she does require a lot of gold before she really takes off, as well as getting level 8 for Celeste, which she is just now going to reach. Is huge.
Lands, Feint of Heart, Impale misses, Shimmer Strike comes out, Idris just trying to get out, the suppressing fire, and the Blackfeather are going to pick him up. Though Baptiste taken extremely low, on point misses, Impale lands on the Celeste, Saw dealing a little bit of damage. Careful with Celeste. The overdriven heliogenesis is Saw taken very low. Gonna take the Treant, or attempt to, but back off. Suppressing fire, taking Baptiste even lower. He does get out, but the imp on point catches him and kills him. Going on the Celeste, picks her up with the Rose offensive. Extremely low. Idris in a 1v2 is gonna pick up the Blackfeather. It's gonna go the execute on the Shank.
That damage is so crazy sometimes. Big ol' almost 800 damage comes through onto the Idris. Gonna bring him down for an ace, and that'll likely be a turret now for Time. Angel Wolf shouldn't be able to stop this, as Dank Shank's gonna clean up the turret.
Ninja did a very good job of zoning out the Saw in the middle of that fight, but just didn't have enough sustain when Blackfeather got on her. It was very interesting to see.
Yeah, the reflex block did come through out of Nick to try to get out of that core collapse. He was fortunately out of it, so maybe wasting the cooldown a little bit, but should have it up And as it does refresh now, it is going to be up for the next fight. Ninja really has to focus on zoning Saw out, and Shadows and Angel Wolf really need to be the two that are going to be really in charge of protecting Ninja from Audio
Yeah.
Box here.
Yep. Yeah, that's probably going to be their win condition, but it's not going to be easy seeing as there's almost an 8k gold lead. Suppressing Fire is going to go wide. Not much damage. On point, taking down both Celeste and Baptiste, though he does get traded. Celeste taken extremely low, has to back off. His cooldown has both.
Fortunately, the team wasn't quite close enough. The Dang Shank does come through.
Obliterating. Idris taken extremely low. Not going to be able to do anything with the chakram. Celeste just trying to back, trying to stay alive. Not giving over the ace buff. And we see once again the team fight falling to Time Impale.
Yeah, Saw's got to be super careful here, especially if he takes a Solar Storm. The fountain is now burned, though.
Oh.
Did Nick clean that up? No, Broken Hero did, and that's going to be a dead Celeste now, too.
Taken out by the Rose offensive. Such a good job of getting on that Celeste and allowing Saw to use his abilities and just damage, really, it would seem. Obliterating the Baptiste in the fights and obliterating the Idris.
Yeah, and Saw going with a Clockwork for a second item is going to allow him to have that roadie run up all that more frequently. Yes. So that is definitely going to be something to look forward here as they start up the gold mine and turn their attention, though.
It was offensive, and BF take very low. The Suppressing Fire is going to pick up the Baptiste. They are going to get back on the gold mine.
Yeah, unfortunately, Baptiste did go to use the Fearsome Shade there, but the Suppressing Fire came out just a little too soon, and now Nick is in a dangerous spot.
And Saw taking extremely low, taking damage from the gold miner. Has to be careful. Using the Suppressing Fire over the wall. Lives from the heliogenesis. They are going to back off of the gold mine. So good job by Eminent to deny the objective to them with the and the Idris. But if Baptiste had position a little better, I wonder if they could have taken kills off of that. It would have been very interesting.
Yeah, the bounties are really starting to rack up on the side of Time. So if they do drop any kills here, it could be a pretty decent gold chunk going into Eminent GG's pockets. But Time not letting up the aggression.
Baptiste. Yeah. Damage traded with the on point, though. Celeste is in lane, so heliogenesis is going to miss. The on point. Audiovox doing such a good job of landing that, I think. The Faint of Heart comes out. Idris, Shimmer Strike to stay alive, is taken extremely low, killed by the Rose offensive. Celeste just running for her life, executed by the Faint of Heart, not going to be able to stay alive. And really, that team fight just ended so fast with the chain CC coming out of Lance.
Yeah, the double stun against that turret was definitely huge for Broken Hero. Yeah. But Audiovox not wasting any time, gets some damage down on Idris. Idris goes ahead and uses the Shimmer Strike, and he turns his attention directly onto Celeste. And when Idris jumped off him, he did clean him up with that Rose offensive.
Destroys him. Fountain comes out to keep him alive barely, and he is going to boots away. The Fearsome Shade misses. Impale lands on the Baptiste, and Celeste is in a 1v3. Those saws extremely low. If they turn on her and land the Impale, it could be deadly. Oh, the Suppressing Fire over the wall. So dirty. Going to pick up the kill.
This might just be game for Time here.
That's going to be game. It looks
series for Time.
Wow. Impressive. Coming out of Time. The coordination. Trying his best to keep them alive. Nope. The shank to finish it. Truly in game coming out of Time. Seeing so much coordination and so much team chemistry to win team fights that wouldn't think they'd be able to win. Well.
Yeah, Audiovox had a great performance, both games actually, on Blackfeather, able to clean up those kills, and unfortunately that is going to be Eminent GG dropping here, but Time with a good performance are going to have to be a team that we look forward to going on further on into this tournament. And specifically Audiovox on Blackfeather. I think if you're going to give him a Blackfeather, you need to be planning on countering it.
Yep. Very impressive. And that is going to be the match between Time Impale and Eminent GG.
And I do believe they both go on, but it is going to be one win chalked up here for Time Impale. So,
Yep. With that record, help them in their division. And it's going to send a message to all the other teams. Don't, don't, don't mess with Time Impale, and don't give Audio Vox Blackfeather, because he will first pick it. And it is quite deadly. He picking up first blood and so many kills.